Hey there. Given my last post about bicycling and mutiny, I thought I would ponder some of the other things I was trying to explain there because I think that it is a fascinating subject in education. If any of you are already teachers, many of you are, I know, but if you're thinking about being a teacher, this is a great one right here. And I'm going to read just a little bit from it, but this is a great book written in the late 60s. It tells the story of a guy who goes into an inner city school, and initially he tries to control this very uncontrollable group, but he learns to let go, and he learns to let them explore on their own some of the things that they desire, and he ends up getting in trouble for allowing them to do too much. So it's fitting for our class. And so I'm going to read just a little bit from the epilogue, the very end of this book, and hopefully this will work. But I'm just going to read a little bit, but it's fitting, I think, and it's amazing how some of these things tie into this class and how some of the things he comments on relate to the larger educational challenges we still face today. And what's interesting is that this epilogue was written on July 4th, 1967, and if you think about the 4th of July and freedom and revolution in DS 106, it's all very fitting. So here we go. I'm just going to read a couple paragraphs from this. And the first one's about experimenting. So he says, "We experiment a lot. We teach Spanish experimentally to everyone, then drop it experimentally. We experiment with slow learners, with non-achievers, with core programs, team teaching, with innovative programs. These programs, being only experiments, remain on the fringe of things. The general curriculum, not being experiment at all, isn't affected by them." So, he's saying that oftentimes we experiment, but the change really never affects the core. So, here's another one. "Mainly our ideas of order have changed. There are too many kids for us to know them all personally, so we spend more time filling out and reading forms in order to learn about kids we don't know. Along with that, we express an urge for standardization. If we don't know the kid, we'll make up for it by knowing that he was taught percentage in the 7th grade and had South America in the 6th. So, class size is always challenging, and he addresses that in here frequently. So, here's another one. He says, "All right, some can take it and some can't. Those who cannot expose the point. It's not any good for anyone. My wife's father was once bitten by a cottonmouth and survived. Another man from the same community was bitten and died. No one argued that the experience was good for either of them. Sitting in a classroom or at home pretending to study a badly written text full of false information, adding up 20 sums when they're all the same and one would do, being bottled up for 7 hours a day in a place where you decide nothing, having your success or failure depend 100 times a day on the plan, invention, and whim of someone else, being put in a position where most of your real desires are not only ignored but actively penalized, undertaking nothing for its own sake but only for that illusory carrot of that future. Maybe you can do it and maybe you can't, but either way it's probably done you some harm." That's a good one. And one last one here. This is the very last part of this book. He says, "What do you do? What do you do? You can read suggestions for change in a lot of recent books by serious and intelligent men. I suppose I could add mine, but frankly I have almost no hope that there will be any significant change in the way we educate our children. For that, after all, would involve liberty." Fitting here. "The last thing we may soon expect, and so I have thought merely to describe one time for you parents, kids, and readers the way it is." And anyway, James Herndon, awesome book from the late 70s, or late 60s, excuse me. And speaking to maybe that sense of freedom that we're all kind of experiencing here in DS 107 or 106, whichever class we're taking now. And anyway, Maybe I'll post this to my blog.